Welcome. So Natalie and I have known each other for a little while, and then we've also been like simultaneously building our businesses in our way. So I'm really excited to talk about all the magical workings that you do. So tell us a little bit about yourself and the name of your business.
Yes, so my name is Natalie, and I consider myself a nature witch. My business is called the House of Artemis, and it's revolved around healing with nature, with animals, with spirits, and protecting women and children, which is everything that the goddess Artemis embodies. So I channel her through my healing. And what I offer is, I do Reiki, but I call it shadow Reiki because it's healing the shadow aspects of yourself and bringing things up that need healing that might otherwise have not been talked about or healed or addressed, and not just balancing. It's doing a lot of root work. And then I love to use plant-based healing methods, such as plant spirit medicine, which is tapping into the spirit of a plant and communing with it and having it teach you and how it can heal your body emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So I do coaching with that. I do flower essence, plant spirit medicine coaching and therapy sessions, the Shadow Reiki, and I'm really excited to offer soon my Nature Boss Witch program, which is a 3.5-month program where if any of you are listening and you're trying to figure out your soul purpose and need a little bit of guidance and healing as well, that's what my program is going to be offering. And hopefully in October, I'm excited to launch.
Okay, awesome. So we'll talk about all of that stuff.
Yes.
Tell us, so when did your witch journey begin for you? Like, when did you know?
It's a hard question to answer because when I look back on it, I've always been magical. I've always been a witch, a nature witch. I just didn't have a label for it. And I was always drawn to, like, even as a child, like fairies and leprechauns and making my own potions in the backyard. And I had a magical cookbook where I would say my chants over my food and eat it. So it's always been a part of my life, but I started to embrace the term witch probably right before I moved to LA 8 years ago, and noticed how my body was in sync with the moon. And I thought that was really interesting. And at that time, I was 20 or 19, 20, and finally starting to tap into myself and as a whole person and not who my family is. And I just started getting more interested in that and crystals and tarot cards, and people would just naturally want to come to me for help and guidance. And one day I pulled the magician card on Samhain, which is coming up, and I started crying. I was so excited because I had this question, like, who am I? What am I? And that was the card I pulled, and I just felt this embodiment of, I'm a witch. I have pagan blood, even if my current family doesn't embrace it. And I just was like telling the world, I was like, I'm a witch, I'm pagan, I'm doing it, I'm gonna do it. And from then on, my life was completely changed. And now I have my own business, doing what I love and helping people and being my authentic self. So that's kind of what my journey was like. I've always was a witch, but it wasn't until I actually moved to Los Angeles where I was finally able to see my true self.
And I'll say something about that. Whatever it is that people think about Los Angeles, for those of us that live here, an experience that we have is that it's actually an extremely spiritual place. Like, there is a fire that burns under the city, and it is like I want to call it like a spiritual fire. It's like an awakening. People come here for all sorts of very different reasons, But one, there's this environment of being able to just be whoever you are, or whoever you want to be, or whoever you want to be now. There's just this place of like being able to create the life that you want. But there's a lot of spiritual awareness here. There's a lot of practices. You know, I used to call this like the Mecca of yoga. Like, there's a few different places in the world, but you know, there's so much spirituality being practiced here in all of these different ways. And so it's also this like really powerful time where all of these, especially women, like all of these women are waking up to these gifts and practices that they even learned like in their past lives, right? And so all of us are like, yeah, I mean, I've like always been into this stuff. And I always talk about, I'm a Scorpio. My birthday is like a couple days before Samhain. So I was born into it. And every time that it would be like pumpkins and witches and all of that, it was also always my birthday. And so it was just always this like magical thing I connected to. And I always had like little books about little witches and everything, because that's just the cute stuff that was like out around my birthday. So I was also really into like the dark aspects of like, you know, witchery and all of that. And then there's this really interesting, like with the age of Aquarius and everything being in the light.
Yeah.
All of this that was in the shadow, that was just in needing to be in secrecy for so long, or like being hidden. Obviously, like women had to hide all this stuff because they got killed for being healers and practicing nature magic and things like this back in the day. We're only now healing all of that. But so it's also being available to all sorts of everyone. Where years ago I experienced a lot of it just kind of only really being in goth culture. And then now it's just kind of like opened up, and it's like everyone is interested in tapping into their own gifts, but like reconnecting with the earth and learning how to be the magician.
I love that we had a similar path. Yeah, I was definitely in the dark and the shadow for a while, and now I'm coming out on the other side into the light.
I have to say that too. Yes, absolutely. Being Scorpio again, I'm like, you know, and I wear my cloaks and my hoods and all of that all the time, and it's very you know, the mystery and all of that, but also all of it being in the light, it being a way that we can also be serving everyone and serving our purpose in the light, and having a business and being able to like support ourselves and all of that is really exciting. So I acknowledge you for stepping into that and like braving stepping into just working for yourself completely. That's totally amazing, and it's really exciting.
Thank you.
So what are the different, I know you do like various different modalities. So let's talk about what it is that you do. What did you start with?
I guess what I talked about first was the shadow Reiki. So I'm a Reiki master, and I started my Reiki journey 3 years ago. And it's funny, when I started, I was still pretty like in the dark, but still searching for that light that I knew that I was supposed to help others with. So I was still very in like the goth and the vampires and attracted to that. So Reiki is not like that at all. It literally means like light energy. That's what it translates to. But I was still really drawn to it because everyone said my hands were so powerful. Every time I would give my friends massages or touch them, they would feel it. And all these psychics kept telling me my power was in my hands. My power was in my hands. I didn't know what that meant. So I was drawn to Reiki from my yoga studio. And the first attunement was so powerful. Like I was so tapped in. I understood everything they were talking about. I was like, I was doing all this stuff already. I just didn't know what to call it. And from going from level 1 to master, I have transformed so much that I just want to share Reiki with the whole world, and maybe everyone will be attuned Reiki level 1 one day on some level. Maybe it's not the Reiki system, but on a spiritual level. But what I discovered is because I was going through the dark and the mud. And I found this light that everybody has that. Like everybody has to go through the murk and the shadow aspects of their soul. And it's okay to reach out and ask for help, because it's a lot of hard work to do this, shadow work, as we call it. So when I started giving my friends and peers my Reiki sessions, I would take them on this journey, and like on a meditative journey. So I do the Reiki with crystals. Crystals are really great on helping aid where the light is going in the body. And then as they're in this like Reiki trance, I'll put you through this guided meditation or shamanic journey, and I pick which kind of meditation that suits whatever healing you're looking for, or whatever I pick up during the Reiki. And then afterwards, we talk about what happened and like what happened in that meditation journey. And some people who have a hard time meditating and love using singing bowls or crystal bowls, or drumming or shamanic drumming. And I'm always interested when I hear them coming out of it and hearing their experience, because I still learn through what they experience. And it always I'm always in awe when I see these transformations happening before my eyes. And then afterwards, I usually pull a card, either a tarot or an oracle card, to see what further needs to be addressed or what messages that are coming through from their guides to help them. So with the shadow Reiki, we really work on the deeper aspects of why the chakras are imbalanced in the first place, and not just like, okay, I'm going to fix your chakras, they're great now, go on your day. The whole point is to figure out why they were blocked in the first place. And sometimes we have to go back to childhood, sometimes we have to go to past life, and that's when the real healing starts to happen. It's like root cause Reiki healing is what I like to define that. So that's kind of my term that I coined it, is shadow Reiki, and I'm really hoping to tell the world about it.
There's information in the dark. There's super important, powerful information like in the dark, in our shadow. And so there's all sorts of reasons why something's going to be in shadow, right? Like there's a fear, there's a shame, there's also just, it's in there, right? And we have to go into the depths of ourselves to find that. And then we bring the light to it, or we bring it out into the light, and that's when the healing happens. So it's also not that like now that there's like a resistance to the dark. Absolutely not. I think those of us that, I think once somebody like finds shadow work in their life, then there's a like kind of excitement and desire to just like deep dive all the way into it, because that's where your power is.
Yeah.
It really is in there. So this sounds like powerful work that you're doing.
It is. It is very powerful. And it's a lifelong journey as well.
Yes, absolutely. Because it's because when you get to one layer, right? And you get one layer, or you clear one layer, then it's time to go deeper. And then like as we grow and change, there's just more of us that are like coming up to the surface. So it's probably powerful to get healing from you also when someone is experiencing like really working with their shadow and having things come up and clear. We all know that like sometimes it's like when we're in it, we're really in it. And so it's like all this stuff we're processing all at once.
It's very emotional work. So it's nice when you can have somebody to help hold your hand or guide you when you're in, they call it dark night of the soul, when you're in that and you're feeling it. And sometimes it's really hard to see the light. And that's where I come in and I'm like, you're doing it, you're healing. Like the light's right there, you're almost there, you're doing the work. So it's hard you have to do it alone, but at the same time you're not alone. Like you still have support, and that's what the work is making sure you do surround yourself with people who are supporting you in your healing journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why it's powerful you're doing the work that you're doing. So you're not like at a job all day, like you're working with spirit and with people, working on these things all day. So I can kind of see some of your like apothecary stuff. I know that you're an herbalist and that you work with herbs and that you create like potions and healings, and tell us about that.
Yes, so that's another form of medicine I do, is the plant-based spirit medicine. So I love creating like tinctures and syrups and herbal blends. Um, and I like to do it more custom. And I notice people enjoy it more than if I just like created a line and they just pick from it. Because a lot of people don't understand herbal medicine. So if I put out like a valerian tincture, some people who know herbs are going to know what valerian does, but people who don't aren't going to realize that it could be very helpful for them. So I do love to do custom orders, which is part of being a holistic herbalist, and is listening and helping them find a blend that works for them. But as far as the other medicine I work with, which is the flower essences. And that's another type of therapy I do. Another session I offer is these flower essence therapy sessions where we talk like spirit to spirit. We talk for an hour, and we start with the root chakra, very similar to the shadow Reiki, but we're talking it out. And then by the end of the session, I blend a custom bottle of a flower essence. And that's like what's behind here. Like I have a bunch of different kinds of flower essences. So they're a type of homeopathic medicine, and it works in the spirit body. So it has the energetic imprint or the spirit of the plant. So you can make poison flower essences from poison plants and flowers, but it's safe because it's only the spirit or the essence of the plant, not the actual physical plant. Which poison essences are fantastic for shadow work. So I create a custom blend for you, and then you take it. The typical dose I recommend is 3 drops 3 times a day. And after a month, shifts happen with the essence, and then we talk again a month later and we build you a whole new essence. It's like more spiritual counseling instead of just like talking. You're actually getting plant spirit medicine. We're talking about chakras. We're talking about past lives or ancestral healing. And it's a lot deeper work than your typical therapy session. So the people who usually come to me are already tapped into their spirituality, or they're sensitive people, they're empaths, because a lot of traditional doctors don't understand the complex sensitivities that like spiritualists have. And sometimes we want to talk about all these spiritual things that are happening to us, but with like a traditional Western doctor or therapist, they're going to not understand what you're talking about. They're going to be more on the physical realm, on the surface, or prescribe you, medication, and then just take your money. And then so for us spiritual people, doing flower essence therapy is like our way of healing and tapping into how nature can help us instead of relying on drugs, essentially. So that's the kind of plant medicine I work with.
Awesome. And beautiful. I would love to do that. I've never actually worked with flower essences. I've smelled them and all of that, but I haven't actually really worked with them.
Yeah. I want to tell the world. They're very they're very powerful.
Okay, so what else do you do? I know we do all of these things. So, we learned how to do all these things because they like become part of our practice personally in our own like personal healing. And then we have like all of these different things that we can offer for someone to come in. But it seems like those 2 services you offered, that they can actually like kind of go together, where you would work with one.
They definitely can. Yeah, I can even, what I've offered some people, if they just want to dive right in, is with the shadow Reiki, we also do the flower essence therapy. It's longer of a session, and it's a little bit more, but it's better as a package. But it's everything. It's the shadow Reiki, it's the guided meditation, it's the oracle cards, it's the talk therapy, and it's the flower essence. So it's the whole spiritual package all in one for healing. But I call myself the nature witch because I not only, I didn't want to, I created this term because, yes, I am a green witch. Yes, I'm a lunar witch. I love the moon, crystals, and yes, I have different deities, but my main thing is getting back to nature and teaching people that we are nature, like our bodies are made from nature, and where the healing's going to happen is when we get back to nature, when we get back to our natural state. And doing that spiritually is a way to start healing the physical body, because a lot of ailments we carry around, and like pain and issues that we might see a doctor for, and then a lot of times they don't know how to help us if it's a spiritual problem. And that's when we start to ask the spirit. So I not only do herbal medicine, energy work, and plant spirit medicine, but I always recommend holistic nutrition. And that's part of the degree that I have in my alternative medicine degree, is coaching others on a whole foods nutritional diet, where teaching them how to intuitively eat and listen to their bodies and know which foods would be good for them and which wouldn't be good for them, and as natural as possible, and not processed or packaged or anything like that, because foods can also affect our spiritual bodies. Foods can clog up our chakras. It can clog up your third eye if you eat or drink the wrong foods.
Drink the fluoride in your water.
Yep, water is supposed to be so healing, and if it's got all these parasites and bleach and fluoride and all this stuff that is in our LA water, that could also be causing a lot of mystery symptoms, just water. So that's part of my healing that I do as well, is not only guiding the spiritual body, but also the physical body. And I am working on creating like a program that can do all of those things. And that's where the program I'm offering, the Nature Boss Switch program, is gonna launch in October. But I'm already taking like people's spots, so if people want to jump on that, because I only work with 6 clients at a time for this. And so once the 3 months up, so I probably won't be able to offer it again until January. So if any of you listening want to work with me, I only have a little bit of spots open. But yes, so I not only do the spiritual, but then I do the physical healing as well. And then if you have any comments on that, we can talk about that. And then we can talk a little bit more on the spiritual business coaching part of the program.
Which is awesome. We want everybody to be, it's like my vision. Not everybody wants this, but for those of us that are doing this type of work, I want us, it's my vision that we all have our own business. And as some of us know, it's a bit of a pain in the ass in the beginning, that's and there's a lot of resistance, right? Because a lot of like the artist, healer is a very similar type, isn't always necessarily interested in business. And like, I can't tell you how many healers I know don't have a business card, like don't have a website. Maybe they have their Instagram, and it's like, it's the way, but it's also the way that you reach people. It's also the way that you're going to like help the people that you're supposed to help and heal the people that need healing, and then also receive yours in return. This whole, way of everything being online. And it's really so great because we can like reach each other and connect with each other. But there are all these like things that need to happen in the beginning. And so I think that's also really great that you're doing that. Because one of the other things I say to people too, it's another reason why I like to have all these sisters on the show, it's because you just need to work with who you feel called to work with. Yeah. And that's the person who's got the information for you right now. And it might change. Like you might be called to this person for a while, so you work with them, and then you might be called to this person for a while, and it's going to be for various different reasons. Like this one's going to have a story maybe that's similar to yours and like helps you like through some steps. And you know, maybe the sister over here has some information on like more business, and this one has some information on how to like make your business like, you know, in alignment and feel spiritual. And like, you know, there's a lot of like, you know, there's like just like a lot of resistance around like all this different building stuff. And so to all the ladies that are listening, always work with who you feel called to. If you hear some sister on here talking, I know that your program works with empaths. Yeah. And so that's a very sensitive group of people, that them working with somebody who's like blasting them with like business information, that's not the way for them. It's not the way. Right. You know? So they need to work with someone who also is an empath and also can be like, this is how it feels for me, so this is how we're going to do it, like in alignment with like how you feel, but also like create business around it. So beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful that you're doing that. And I know that you did, so we won't say any of the names because I think maybe that it's, you know, secret, but I know that you were doing a ritual last night for the solstice, like, yes, where, you know, in a secret goth community in the LA area. But how did that go?
Oh, it went so well. Yeah, no, I love doing rituals there, and they started asking me to do rituals. It'll be over a year ago, yeah, when they noticed I was doing a lot of teaching at these other apothecaries, and they're like, oh, you're actually magical, please do rituals at our club. So last night, the Maybon ritual, or autumn equinox ritual, I focused on gratitude and balance, and we all wrote down what we were grateful for. And I did my circle, I cast my circle, and I pretty much just had everyone hold this intention of gratitude and all the things that are good in their life, and then think about the things that maybe are still imbalanced, like that they worked too much and didn't rest too much, or did they rest too much, or did they give and receive equally, or did they give too much or not give enough. And we all strive for equilibrium. The earth strives for equilibrium. The universe does. It all works in cycles, striving for balance. So we should always be striving for balance. So that was the theme of the ritual. And then we all threw our pieces of paper in the cauldron, and it was lit up on fire. And I, said some words to let it send out to the universe. And it was beautiful, and everyone loved it. There was just so much love and like hugging, and then we all danced afterwards. It was a great time.
That sounds awesome.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming here. Tell us how we can find you.
Oh, yes. So you can find me on Instagram at the House of Artemis. It's all one word, the House of Artemis. And thehouseofartemis.com is my website. And you can go on my website to subscribe, where you will get more information on the Nature Boss Witch program, information on how to heal as an empath. And I did just finish this 3-day empath challenge, but if you're listening and you missed it and you want to be part of it, you can email me at info@thehouseofartemis.com, and I will personally send you the 3-day empath challenge if that's something that speaks to you. If you need help protecting yourself energetically, or you're absorbing everybody else's energy and you're just drained and you're sensitive and you don't know how to go out into the world, this is a really amazing program I created. It's totally free. So if that's something you're interested in, please email me or contact me through Instagram. You can DM me there too.
That's totally awesome. We're going to put all of your info cat hair everywhere. I'll put this information, we can put it in the video on Facebook, but also when it comes out on the podcast, we'll put all that information in the show notes. So just kind of wherever it is that you're listening to this, just look for where the notes would be. And then that's how you can find Natalie. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing your wisdom and your witchiness with us and your healing ways. If there's anything else that you would like to say to our audience here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I just want to send out love and light and support to anyone who is going through their dark night of the soul, going through the shadow right now. There is light on the other side, and we are all here to support you.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much. And have a beautiful shadow season.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, blessed be.
Blessed be.